The results are extremely unfriendly to the left's view of economic growth. Remember, if the left is right, then total government spending at the state and local level, because we're talking in those terms, total spending ought to have an economic benefit, right? It doesn't matter what you're spending it on. You're just stimulating demand. The problem is that of all of the studies that looked at total government spending, one of them found a positive effect. That's 3%. 0% of the studies that I read had a positive effect from Medicaid or transfer program. 0%. Now maybe I missed one study or two, but I didn't miss 50. So it is simply absurd to argue that North Carolina can make itself healthier and wealthier and more prosperous by spending more money on Medicaid or unemployment insurance. And I notice there are people who actually believe that and argued it as recently as yesterday. They have zero evidence. Now, there is better support for the center's argument. Remember, the center's argument is the government can have a positive effect on the economy, and it can do so by building productive assets, whether it be highways or bridges or public schools, let's say, or universities. And it's certainly more plausible, for one thing, educational quality or outcomes or attainment really does, on balance, correlate with stronger state economic performance. Most of the studies that look at things like percentage of the population with high school diplomas or percentage of the population with college degrees or test scores or something like that, they do find positive effect. Now, by the way, it's not massive. It's 57%. There's a fair amount of contravailing evidence. Particularly high school diplomas don't seem to correlate all that much. I suspect that is because high school diplomas don't mean very much. They don't really signal the quality of the workforce, unfortunately. Somewhat higher for infrastructure, the quality of infrastructure. Again, that makes sense. If you have a nice road system and it's well maintained and it goes lots of places, freight costs might be lower, commuting costs might be lower, people might have an easier time finding the right job that fits their needs because they can get there in a reasonable time and so forth. Now here's the problem, though, with the center's argument. Spending on these programs does not necessarily correlate with the valuable outcomes. So if you look at the number of studies of education spending, not outcomes, but government spending on education, only 38% find positive economic effects. I thought that number would be higher, but it's not. It's only 38%. 44% for infrastructure spending. By the way, if you disaggregate education and you look at K-12 and university, K-12 has a little bit higher percentage. University is less than 30%. The notion that you're going to increase economic growth by spending more on your public universities is an interesting idea with not a lot of empirical support. It's common, but it's not empirically based. Now, the results were very friendly to the right's theory of economic growth. Negative effects of overall taxes in 63% of studies. 67% for corporate or business taxes, 69% for marginal income tax rates, 62% for sales taxes, 68% for regulation in some form or the other.